Call the meeting to order.
Back to order.
All right, welcome to the Queen Anne's County Commissioners meeting. This is a public meeting that is being aired live on our local cable television station, QACTV 7. These media broadcasts provide county citizens an opportunity to watch and review our scheduled public meetings. In addition to our live audience this evening, we are providing remote options for citizens to watch and participate in the county commissioner meetings. Citizens may watch our meeting live on our website at qac.org/live or on our public access governmental television channel provided by Breezeline Cable Services. Citizens may also participate by joining the live Zoom meeting by going to qac.org/public comment, and citizens may also email comments to publiccomment@qac.org, and all comments received will be summarized during the press and public comment period on tonight's agenda. We acknowledge everyone's participation, and by attending, you acknowledge this session is both recorded and aired. Press and public comment will be taken and is limited to 3 minutes per person. If you do care to speak, please sign up at the information table in the lobby. Comments longer than 3 minutes can be submitted in writing for the Commissioner's review. We will now stand and be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Commission President Chris Corcorino.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you could please remain standing for Darren Foxwell, a young man from Talbot County who lost his life last week. Thank you.
All right, that brings us to the approval of our agenda for this evening. So the agenda for today's meeting, June the 24th, along with the regular session minutes, the Sanitary Commission minutes, and the closed session minutes from the June 10th meeting have been circulated for review. Any additions or corrections?
Yep, I'd like to amend the agenda to include one additional desk item.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All in favor, one. Commissioner Dumel is on assignment this week, so we won't be joining
So
us.
I'm going to make a motion to accept the agenda as amended on all minutes as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4 in favor, pass.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. All right, so we just held a closed session under the General Provisions Article, Section 3305B1, to discuss boards and commissions, and I think we have a couple appointments to make.
I move to appoint Dr. Jacob Vargas to fill the vacancy on the Board of Building Appeals. This term will expire on June 30th, 2028.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I move to appoint Arthur Ebischberger to the Planning Commission. This term will expire on December 31st, 2029.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, Commissioners, thank you so much. That brings us to press and public comment.
Got one?
All right. So we appreciate all citizens taking time to express views to the County Commissioners. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments longer than 3 minutes can be submitted in writing. This commission respects your desire and right to convey your message freely. When you come forward, please state your name clearly at the standing microphone and your address and your topic of interest. And in keeping with the dignity of our office, we ask that all views be expressed in a respectful and civil manner.
Jay Falstead.
Evening, Commissioners. Jay Falstead, Queen Anne's Conservation Association. I sent in an email last week regarding Ordinance Text Amendment 2507, and just urge you to push forward an unfavorable. Your Planning Commission and your planning staff have already recommended that. We want to stand with them on this and believe that this will open the doors to unnecessary development on areas where it was not meant to go in the first place. I was here at the last meeting, and I know the proponent of the text amendment and one other person gave a little bit of a misleading statement on it. I just urge you to refer back to your staff report, and which is very clear. And if you follow that, then you'll understand it pretty clearly. So with that, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. If anybody online? Okay. Anybody else for press and public comment?
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Donna Landis Smith. I work for Queen Anne's County Soil Conservation District, and I'm the Land Preservation Administrator for the county. In reference to County Ordinance 2507, I also have been at the last few meetings to hear this, and as well as the Planning Commission. My concern is, as far as the Land Preservation Program, it took me many years to have Maryland Department of Planning decide that our county preservation is our permanent easements, and reconfiguring and giving the opportunity to change the TDR regulations that have been in place and have worked very well could jeopardize our certification as a county for MALF, because that will lead us to the Maryland Department of Planning believing that our county easements are not permanent. So some of my concerns were the TDR configurations were drawn by a surveyor based on required soil criteria, which is also the soil criteria for MALF. If a TDR is to be sold, it should be sold as a whole as the original TDR was lifted. If it, for example, if it was a critical area TDR, it's 20 acres. If that wants to be sold to an adjoining neighbor or someone else, then it needs to be sold in 20-acre increments, not reconfigure the boundary lines. So to keep those boundary lines intact as they were first agreed by the person selling them and agreed by the subdivision that was, submitted to the county. It's just concerning to me that that's what also opened the door up for deed restricted open space. There is a section in the code that allows you to reconfigure deed restricted open space one time because of mistake or correction. If you decide to move this forward, it could open a door for 8,226 acres of non-contiguous development to be reconfigured. That also has to follow the soils criteria, as MALF does. And deed restricted open space, there's 10,127 acres. It just sounds like a very arduous chore for planning staff, and it just makes me concerned about the jeopardy of our certification as a MALF county. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wasn't going to speak, but I think I have to now. As you're aware, when I was here last time, I've taken out any reference to reconfiguring. So there's no intent with the amendment that I proposed as amended, and as I wrote to you regarding, it will not change the lay of the land. It won't change where the TDRs are. All we're doing is moving a line. The only thing Donna said I really don't agree with is the 20-acre increments, because that again defines exactly where you have to cut a line. But on an administrative subdivision, by definition, no new lots are being created. All you're doing is moving lots between properties with the same restrictions that were imposed before. I guess from the first person you heard from, he indicated both staff and the Planning Commission. I did get an unfavorable from the Planning Commission. I did not get an unfavorable from the staff. The staff did not make a recommendation, and the Planning Commission noted that. That's really all I have to say. I'm just asking to move a line, not going to change any of the restrictions applicable to the underlying zoning classification. It's just allowing property owners to divide a line where it makes sense, as with the exhibits that I gave you, except they were mismarked. 3 was 4 and 4 was 3. But when you review those, you'll see we're not changing anything with regard to the TDR. The only thing I'm asking is change who owns that land. Nobody will know it. I see no land use value in saying you can't do that. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, we'll close press and public comment.
All right, Commissioners, if we could, I'd like to go a little off script here, out of order. If you want to turn to tab 6 under presentations, we have 2 very special proclamations this evening to present, and we also have our State Delegate Stephen Aarons, former County Commissioner Steve Aarons, in the audience here tonight, and Director Scott Haas. Do you want to come up, Scott? And we have two proclamations in your book. Again, tab number 6, item 2 and 3 on pages 13 and 14. So proclamations 2522 for John Shoemaker, proclamation 2523 for Lamar Stolfus, and these are life-saving proclamations. And that is the reason for all of our esteemed emergency services folks that are here this evening and volunteer fire company folks. So we are very proud to welcome these folks here tonight.
Yeah, have a seat. Have a
Yeah,
seat,
please,
guys.
yeah, please sit down. Please sit down, folks. Yeah. Steve, come on up. All right.
So I'm going to sneak in and do a quick introduction here.
Yeah,
So
please.
I got Chief Jarbo, Centerville, Chief of Centerville Volunteer Fire Department, Goodwill Volunteer Fire Department. I got Chief Voorhees with us. Chief is Chief of Queen Anne's Hillsborough. Chief was actually on the call. And we've got two very special people here that provided a lot of assistance. And we went down this path as Chief Jarbo contacted me and said, we've got to do something to recognize these two gentlemen. So I'm basically going to turn it over to these guys to kind of tell the story, but they have a very special story to tell you.
All right,
Gentlemen?
gentlemen.
You may go first. You guys are all looking at me. All right, so motor vehicle collision on Damsontown Road, single vehicle versus tree. That vehicle did catch itself on fire. The single occupant in that vehicle was trapped, and these two gentlemen were in the very close vicinity and actually pulled him free away from that fire. And you guys all know that our emergency services, fire, rescue, EMS is great. We've got a lot of talented people, but we can only cover so much miles in so much time. I was thinking about that on the way here for this, that, my fire truck had to cover 4 miles, and some of the guys on it had to drive 4 miles themselves. I came from 11 miles away. The EMS units came from 7 miles away. So that's time that we couldn't give that patient. And these guys, they gave that patient that time by pulling him out. And we think that is an act of heroism, and they should be recognized for it.
All righty. Anybody else?
Really, I was actually at work when the call went out, so I listened to it, and as a good chief would do, thought that these guys needed some recognition of some sort.
Absolutely. Yep.
Contacted Chief Haas, and
You want to go first? You go, ready? I'll go first. I'll go first. John? Okay, so here we go. Proclamation 25-22. Whereas acts of courage and selflessness serve as powerful reminders of the strength and compassion that reside within our community. And whereas on February 18th, 2025, Mr. John Shoemaker acted without hesitation or regard for his own safety by rescuing a young man from a burning vehicle, thereby preventing what could have been a tragic loss of life. And whereas Mr. Shoemaker's quick thinking and extraordinary bravery reflected the highest ideals of civic duty and human compassion, and whereas such heroic actions not only save lives but also inspire others, instilling a sense of hope and unity while strengthening the bonds that hold our community together. And whereas Mr. Shoemaker's courage stands as a testament to the profound impact that one individual can have while braving the risk in a dangerous situation. And whereas his actions serve as a shining example of the kind of heroism and integrity that uplift our society and remind us all of our shared responsibility to help one another. Now therefore, we the Queen Anne's County Commissioners do hereby commend and recognize Mr. John Shoemaker for his outstanding act of heroism and extend our deepest gratitude and admiration for his selfless service, unwavering bravery. Signed, the Queen Anne's County Commissioners.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Go ahead.
John, why don't you come on up here, if you could, please. Usually I start singing when I get a mic like this, but this is a little more important. First of all, we got a call from Scott Haas a few months ago, or a month or two ago, and he asked if we could do a citation from our district. And I said, why don't we go one better? Why don't we get a governor's citation for something you've done? You don't meet people like you guys that often that will actually jump into something. And it's an honor to be here to give this to you. But I'll read the citation. It's the state of Maryland. It's the governor of the state of Maryland to John Shoemaker. Greetings. Be it known that on behalf of the citizens of this state, in recognition of courageously intervening during a life-threatening emergency, in recognition of pulling a motorist from a vehicle engulfed in flames, in recognition of your bravery with complete disregard for your own safety, and in recognition of your quick thinking, teamwork, courage, service, and humanity in this life-saving act, we are pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation. Governor Wes Moore, Lieutenant Governor Rona Miller, and Secretary of State Susan Lee. Congratulations.
All right. All right, Lamar, it's your turn now. All right. Proclamation 2523, whereas acts of courage and selflessness serve as powerful reminders of the strength and compassion that reside within our community. Whereas on February 18th, 2025, Mr. Lamar Stoltzfus acted without hesitation or regard for his own safety by rescuing a young man from a burning vehicle, thereby preventing what could have been a tragic loss of life. And whereas Mr. Stoltzfus's quick thinking and extraordinary bravery reflected the highest ideals of civic duty and human compassion. And whereas such heroic actions not only save lives, but also inspire others, instilling a sense of hope and unity while strengthening the bonds that hold our community together. And whereas Lamar Stoltzfus's courageous stand is a testament to the profound impact that one individual can have while braving the risk in a dangerous situation. And whereas his actions serve as a shining example of the kind of heroism and integrity that uplift our society and remind us all of our shared responsibility to help one another. Now, therefore, we, the Queen Anne's County Commissioners, do hereby commend and recognize Lamar Stoltzfus for his outstanding act of heroism and extend our deepest gratitude and admiration for his selfless service and unwavering bravery. Signed, the Queen Anne's County Commissioners.
Out of trouble, but I'm not.
Thank you.
I can't offer you that. I wish I could. I could lend you my car for a little while. But again, you can't say enough good about people like this. And we preempted it before, but I just want to let you know, the governor, on behalf of the governor, that's why we're here. We'd love to do something locally, but we do appreciate what you did. But I have a governor's citation. It says, the governor of the state of Maryland to Lamar Stoltzfus, Department of Emergency Services, life-saving bravery. Greetings, be it known, because of your demonstration of high integrity and ability, meriting our great trust and respect, we are most pleased to award you the governor's citation and appreciation of your outstanding services to the citizens of the state. Governor Wes Moore, Lieutenant Governor Rona Miller, and Secretary Susan Lee. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Would you guys like to say anything?
That was a good picture.
Thank you, no.
Yeah, thank you.
How's the chap doing?
Can I say something?
Oh, you
He's on his way. He'll be here in a few minutes.
Great.
Awesome.
So you all will get to see him, meet him. We're personal friends of his, and he came home last week from the hospital.
great.
For good, hopefully this time. But he still has to go back from time to week to DC. But he's on his way. He'll be here.
So why don't we get a picture? You guys, can you hang out and we'll get a picture when he comes with everybody in the citation? Does that work? All right, awesome.
Limited edition hats, guys.
Now, well, wait till he gets here and then we can do it. Yeah.
Very good.
Would you like to introduce some legislation while you're here? We have nothing else on the agenda. Nothing that's important. Thank you, gentlemen.
I wasn't thinking.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
All
very
right,
much, sir.
so don't go too far. We'll get some pictures here shortly, yeah.
Picture when he gets here.
Yep. All right, wonderful. All right, Commissioners, we can resume with the normal sequence on the agenda here as listed. If you want to turn to the legislation portion of the book, that would be tab number 7. So we have several bills here, ordinances that can be voted on. We have a public hearing at 6, and then we have a bill for introduction. So the first item under tab 7, item 1, County Ordinance 2503. This can be voted on. These are all citizen-sponsored text amendments. This first one is for the maximum non-residential building height in the suburban commercial district.
I make a motion to approve 25-03.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right. Motion passes.
All right, Commissioners, item number 2 on pages 2 and 3 is County Ordinance 2504. This is for permitted uses in the Airport Protection and Kent Island Gateway District in Queen Anne's County. This would allow for daycares in that district, and this one also is ready for a vote. If you're
Make a motion to approve 25-04.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and the third one we have for this evening for a vote is County Ordinance 2507, and this is for parcels, reconfiguration of parcels from which development rights have been transferred. We've heard some testimony on that, and there was some information in your reading file from the text amendment sponsor, Mr. Jeff Thompson.
So we got to take action on it, so I'm going to make the motion to move it forward. And then you wanted to bring Amy up anyway, correct?
Okay.
Is that right?
Right, I got you.
Motion to adopt County Ordinance 2507.
I'll second that.
Motion, second, some discussion. You want Amy up here?
Yeah. Amy?
Amy,
Stephanie
and Stephanie are here. All right, come on up.
There seems to be a lot of discussion on the TDRs, where they are in the property, how do you move one from one to the other, and it just seems cloudy. And it seems like what Mr. Thompson's trying to do makes sense, but I guess how we're trying to do it is not making sense. So, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like it would be better to have this come back next year written in a little more palatable way versus the confusion I think that I have up here now. I mean, I don't, what's your sense of how it's written right now and what he's trying to accomplish?
Yes, so when the applicant submitted the text amendment, it was written, staff provided potential what were items that could be addressed in the staff report to the Planning Commission. Planning Commission did give an unfavorable recommendation based on what was before them. Yes, it could have been drafted more appropriately for what was requested. What was in the text amendment was not what the applicant was actually asking for. They went before the Planning Commission and had potentially said, oh, I want to change it in this way, but did not provide any types of drafts to the Planning Commission. So it was a little unclear, I think, to the Planning Commission when they went through that review. Also, the applicant provided testimony during the public hearing and also provided a potential amendment to you as well in their written testimony. But there are further clarifications that could be made with that amendment that they have provided.
So,
What you
Yes.
have now hasn't clarified some of the points that needed to be
Right.
teased out.
right.
To allay some of the concerns that you've heard, which are valid and had already been articulated by staff. I think that in essence, what Mr. Thompson has put forward is probably okay and would not impact the integrity of the easements. It's just you have to be very careful about the way that adjustment can be made administratively. So I think with some edits, the goal could be accomplished in a way that doesn't have a negative unintended consequence on other similar easements.
Right,
But as it sits right now, we're not there.
right. Well, and I think if you have another 7 months to rewrite it, I think that, I can only speculate that it'd probably be much greater chance of passing, because it seems to make sense, but you're right, it opens up so many doors, and we just want to make sure that's not going to be the case. Okay, that's all I got. So.
Would you be kind enough for our viewers to explain the TDR, how it came about, how many TDRs are on this, on the property, and what is the benefit for the property owner?
So the overall, I guess, reasonings for why we have TDRs?
Yep.
Is that, yep. So basically the intent of the TDR program is to lift development rights and be able to place them in the growth area. That program is not utilized very much, basically due to the septic bill that was passed in 2012, and also just because really the benefit's not there for who would be the purchaser of that development right. But by the fact that they're not being created, there are existing TDRs, obviously, in the county. I think Donna mentioned how many acres there are.
8,700.
Yeah, so there are existing ones, and potentially what the applicant wants to do is be able to basically change the landowner of those existing TDR easements. I think that's what they're trying to capture.
Just to clarify, we all know what the septic bill is, but some people may not. So what happened with the enaction of the septic bill, and I think it was 2008, is there was a limitation on major subdivisions. There was an elimination of major subdivisions on septic systems. So the maximum amount of lots that could be subdivided on a parcel that is not served by public water and sewer is 7 lots. So prior to 2008, there was a potential to realize much more density on a piece of agricultural land than you can realize now. So that transfer of development rights used to be substantive and of great value, and those easements are based on that great value. So that's why, as Donna pointed out, she successfully argued with the Department of Planning that this is permanent and this is an enormous part of our agricultural preservation program strategy. Not every jurisdiction had TDR programs, so it was very valuable. And the fact that major subdivisions are no longer permissible has made it an outdated program. But we do have existing viable TDR easements that are very important to our agricultural preservation statistics.
Weren't we 5, and then we had to come in line a few years back with the state, right? Because the state was 7, but we were 5 after 08, I think, right?
There was an allowance
It was
to
later
bump
than
it
that,
up.
because I was on the planning commission when we did it.
Was it?
Yeah.
It was a while ago. It was 2008.
I know the state had more than what we had locally, right, in terms of what you could develop? Because I remember we had to change
we
it.
were 6 and they had 7.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we just moved ours to 7.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the state allowed you to increase whatever you had to increase up to no
They
more
had.
than 8. So some jurisdictions have 4 or 5.
Okay.
So this will set a precedent for the whole county, or would it just be for this property?
So it's a text amendment, so it would be applicable to all transfer development rights in the county.
The whole county. And that's where the 8,700 acres comes in. 28.
For TDRs, yes.
Got it.
All right.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much.
We have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor of the text amendment, say aye. All those opposed? Aye. All right, five against, 1 absent. Fails. Thank you.
All right, stay right there, Amy. Don't move.
Oh, okay.
We're still under tab 7 here. We're a little shy of 6 o'clock for our public hearing, so we can move to the last item there under legislation is item 5, pages 13 through 24. This is County Ordinance 25-10, the Renewable Energy Certainty Act, and this is related to Senate Bill 931, which was approved by the governor, and it is effective July 1st, and this ordinance is specific to the siting of solar energy generating systems, community solar energy generating systems, and storage devices. So this solidifies the regulations that the state has promulgated, and this bill would get us in line with the state process. So this is ready for introduction, transfer back to the Planning Commission, and then a public hearing. So if there's any questions, Amy was on the work group. She knows this very intimately.
I'm going to introduce ordinance 2510, but if we want to speak to it, what we've added, right, so for the public's interest, you heard me rail against the cannabis one we had to do 2 weeks ago, and I hated that one. I hate this one even more because we have to come in line with the state's solar limitations put on us by Senate Bill 931 and House Bill 1036. That being said, we're going to push the envelope a bit on this because we are going to try to recoup some money for them taking our Class 1 soils, and we are, is 2 in there or just 1? Just 1, Class 1. We're going to impose an impact fee on those soils if they're used for development of solar. Nobody else has tried this, but in conversations, it seems like it's not running afoul of the law, and it is a way to recoup money for further land preservation. As we know, Mouth is in danger here in the next few years for funding, so this gives us a way to trade that off. So that's the one added bonus. Everything else comes in line with what the state 931, which we were pretty much already there. Right? Well, except for the 5% on the PPA, right? That's pretty much the only thing that we had to add. Am I right? That's close?
It's very similar. A lot of the citing provisions have come directly from the Queen Anne's County Code. Some other differences, obviously this bill addresses community solar. Our ordinance did not have specific community solar provisions. This ordinance also requires that we address energy storage siting. So we did not have those provisions in the past. So those are additions to what we have in our code. We were able to keep solar out of mixed-use zoning districts, out of high and medium density residential zoning districts. So you will see that in the districts where permitted, there are very few districts, but of course they are countryside and agricultural along with industrial districts in accordance with the law. We were also able to prohibit in tiers 1 and 2 growth areas, which is important for incorporated towns and the growth areas around those towns, which are often zoned agriculture. So this would prohibit siting within those areas that are slated for development and municipal growth elements. And then just to be clear on 2 things, we had a much larger utility scale solar district in terms of acreage than what the priority preservation cap would be. So I know it is not palatable to have a cap at 5%, and we want that cap to be much lower, but the 2019 perennial decision did take our siting rights away, so we really didn't have protection. So the one thing that I can say is that, now I don't know how what the legislation is going to look like in the coming session. We could get that reduction, but achieving that 5% and reporting when we achieve that 5% within our mapped priority preservation area will remove the siting from the 95% that is remaining in our priority preservation area. And we did not have any limitation like that in the past. I know it's not exactly what we wanted, but it is something.
So, based on our conversations too, we've got 2 weeks before we do the hearing, I'd really like to have a determination on A, do all the easements come away from the total number? Because still, nobody has said one way or the other. I've gotten 3 different stories this past week. One is the intent of the law is the total PPA minus no easements. Then I've got the other side of it is total PPA minus the easements. And then the other issue is stuff already in the pipeline, does it count towards the 5%? Because there's some question as to whether it does or it doesn't. My thing is it should.
So the law is written that the 5% applies to the definite article priority preservation area. There isn't a caveat as to when that calculation begins.
Okay, so you're confident that it's going to count?
I feel confident.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that it won't be argued in every which way. I can say that was not the intent, and that is not the way it is written, grammatically or legally. Also, in meeting with Donna Landis Smith and Joe Pippin, and I thank them for their time in helping us to solidify what we call the compensatory preservation contribution, which would be a dedicated payment into the dedicated farmland preservation fund to assist with contributing to the obtaining easements. I think I lost my train of thought there. The point was, what I learned is that our priority preservation as mapped, because of the level of detail that we have, and I'm not sure that this is the case for other jurisdictions, our easements that were already preserved are not included in our total priority preservation area numbers. So the question that you have about it is valid for other jurisdictions, but it's more of an academic question for us, because that acreage is already pulled out of our priority preservation area.
So are we at 106 or 200?
Our total priority preservation acreage is, I don't think that it is 200,000. I'll have to get back to you. I don't have that number in my head right now.
I just want to know what's available for the 5%.
It's whatever is in our comprehensive plan right now. And I feel like that number is 109 acres.
Oh, 109 acres, that's good.
I mean, 109,000.
5% of that's all we want. Boy, that's a half an acre, we're good. We're good.
109,000, yeah.
Okay.
Donna?
Sure.
We talked about this for hours. So when Joe and I met with Amy and Stephanie, and thank you for doing that, for including us, Amy and Stephanie had said whatever map that's in the comprehensive plan when it was adopted is the map that the state is going to use. So our conservation lands map was from 2022. And at that time, we had not quite 84,000 acres preserved. So if you deduct that out, the original PPA back in 2010, before Amy and Stephanie were even part of the comprehensive plan, I remember sitting in front of the Planning Commission and they said they wanted to designate the entire county other than the growth areas as a PPA. And I said at the time, I don't think that's a good idea, because somewhere down the line it's going to come back and haunt you. And here we are. And it was roughly, and I remember sitting down with Megan Del Gaudio from GIS and Sam Stanton, and we figured out all the properties within the county that were zoned ag and the use is ag. And there are properties, if you have development that was on a farm, the zoning is still ag, but the use is residential. So we had to tweak that out and take those acreages out. And we have 238,000 acres in the county, and it was approximately 88% that was zoned ag and ag use. So it's roughly, give or take, 200,000 acres. That's why it was back from 2010 that I remember that number. So coming through the years and taking out the preservation, it gets less and less, because that's preserved. It's not your priority preservation area any longer because it's preserved.
Well, it's got
It's
an
out,
easement,
it's
so it
done.
doesn't matter.
Correct. So at the time of the last comprehensive plan, there was 83,684 acres preserved of the roughly 200,000 or whatever.
Okay.
So that gives you about 116,000 acres to kind of play with. And that's where we believe that the 5% should be based.
Okay, so we're
upon
on the
what
same
the
page.
remainder is,
Yeah, we're on
which
the
is
same page.
roughly 5,800 acres of solar.
Okay, yeah, no, that's kind of where I
Okay.
figured. Minus 12, right? Am I right? About 1,200? Or no, what do we have in now? About
We have,
800?
We have 1,100,
Okay.
around
Yes.
1,100 in
Okay.
Yes.
solar right now.
So we're looking at 4,700 roughly, right? That we'd be on the hook for?
So unfortunately, since the comprehensive plan has been adopted, we've preserved an additional almost 8,000 acres.
But I think we can make
Yeah.
I think we can make the case for that, though, that that's preserved. I mean,
Right.
because once it's preserved, you can't build on it anyway. I mean,
Right.
it's
Yeah,
hands off, so.
yeah.
Right.
So that's kind of where we tweaked out the numbers and brought it back to,
Okay.
that's kind of, it's roughly close. I mean, I think we could justify being able to take Amy and Stephanie's numbers that were in the comp plan that was adopted and what we had tracked as far as the preserved lands, and that's where we could come out with our hard number. That's remaining as the priority preservation, that's the acreage in the county that could be preserved, basically, is where we're at.
I'm good with it. All right?
I just want to say, just really quickly, that we could not get to this granular level like we have been able to do, and I don't think a lot of jurisdictions can do,
They can.
without the expertise of Sam Stanton and Tyler Pease.
Oh, the GIS?
They are,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just incredible, and the service that they
they throw
provide
darts.
and their understanding of land use and what we need. I just wanted to take a moment because
Absolutely.
we're throwing these statistics around, but it's because of all of their hard work that we're able to do that. So.
Madam Director, can you address the Commissioner's point about the fee per acre of solar that we're going to charge?
The impact fee?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so what we did is we based that number in a hope that it is
What is
legally
the, I
defensible.
can't find it.
It is in the definitions section, which is attachment B of the proposed language. There's a definition of compensatory preservation contribution. And Donna will be much better at explaining this because she explained it to us, but it is a per acre financial contribution made to the county when solar energy generating stations and storage devices are developed on identified Class 1 soils, and a map is attached to this packet. The contribution will be based upon 50% of the fair market value appraisal as determined by the annual
And this is
map
B,
easement.
what number?
Page 8.
Pardon, page 8 of 10, in attachment B definitions. So it's 50% of the fair market value appraisal as determined by the annual mouth easement settlement process, which is a consistent process.
Correct.
Legally binding. And this contribution will be managed by the county in a manner consistent with the agricultural article of the annotated code, those specific sections that outline those easement provisions, and within our code, which dedicates farmland preservation dollars. So within our finance article.
This is meant and built around the fact that there's legal precedent for how we get to what that number is. So it's not going to be a steady number like our impact fees are now, so
Correct.
much per square foot. This is going to be based on the mouth process, which we're not reinventing the wheel here. It's already a process that's done and it's recognized by the state. So it's like, if you were going to collect this and pay this for this land, we should be reimbursed at the same level. That's basically the only case we got to make. in
And
my
we
mind.
take that value a year in arrears because when the mouth settlements or offers first come out, they're not settled. And that's
Right,
not
it's a year
public
later.
information. Until they settle, that's not for public consumption. So we will look at the previous year's fair market value appraisals and the average of that, which is about 50% of that. So it's still, a lower rate. For example, in '24, it was $41.64 an acre. So we would take that posted value that's on the mouth website on the annual report showing what we were paying our landowners. So that's a matter of public record. That's how we would base those payment rates. And I flashed a number 2 up to Jack when I was sitting in the back.
Is that what that was? I thought that was your finger.
Yeah, it was
Oh, I
two.
didn't think
It was
that
two.
far. I
The
thought
number
it was
two.
only one finger.
The Class 1 soils is great because that is our prime agricultural soils. It's only 11% of our
I know.
PPA, which isn't much. Our Class 2 soils are designated in the soils book as a statewide soil of significant importance. That is 84% of our PPA.
And my fellow commissioners can obviously amend this if they want to. My thoughts, and I'll share them right now, my thoughts were, this is a reach anyway. It's probably going to get challenged.
Sure.
If we go with 100,000 or 70,000 acres that we're cutting out, we're going to get challenged and probably get knocked back. I think it's fair to ask for Class 1 at this point, in my mind. So whatever you guys think. I mean,
I'll roll with it.
I mean, I'd love to do Class 2, honestly, because it's development. My whole
Absolutely.
thing is development. So, we charge for development everywhere else, but. Okay. Maybe the next county, if this works, the next county will do better than we did on it.
Let someone else get challenged.
Yeah,
Spend their
let
money on
somebody-
legal
yeah.
fees.
Let them go to the next level on it.
So as I was reading this, the 125% bond for decommissioning, is that enough? To take right? So we know that a lot of these dudes go bankrupt and they leave it to the counties. That's what's gonna happen. They're gonna stick us with it.
No, not with a bond.
No, I'm saying the companies.
Yeah, but the bonds.
Is that-
A bond is a bond. So regardless, if they go bankrupt, the bond kicks in.
That's why we have the
So,
bond.
Yeah, that's why you have the bond, is to protect us.
And I'm just saying,
And
is
we
that
have
enough
as
to
much
replace
as-
the soils and take all of the?
I defer to my concrete expert up here to tell me what, what that stuff they're
They
putting
should be
down,
able
what it's
to
gonna
walk
do.
right down the line and pluck those things right out of the ground like a ripe carrot. You know what I mean? And as long as they're not taking the soils, I mean, I think we put that in there, that they could not remove those
They
strips
can't
of
leave the
soils.
site, right?
Right,
They can be piled, but they can't leave.
yeah.
And we didn't have flexibility on those numbers, so all of the bond allotments, because some of them are different. Now, the decommissioning is held at the Public Service Commission level. That won't be a bond that we will hold or be responsible for, and it's highly debated what should be included in that bond, but what you see in this provision is what we're required to have under the Senate Bill 931.
And this is just introduction of the ordinance. We'll be having more discussion later.
Yep.
All right, Scott, I think you have.
Got everybody
Here,
here?
why don't you bring him in?
All right. So thank you, ladies.
Are we introduced?
And Joe, thank you. Who introduced the bill? Was it Commissioner
Did you vote?
Jack,
Jack. All right, good, thank you.
you're introduced.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Photo op time?
Photo op time.
All right. Oh, and we gotta make the motion to convey it to the planning commission, right? Are we doing that?
Introduce it, it goes to them, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess.
we're introducing it, we're not conveying anything yet, they haven't written.
Because we're doing it as emergency.
Yeah, it's gotta go to, yeah.
I thought it was,
Does it have to be?
well, we're supposed to be compliant July 1.
Let them come after us.
Yeah, that's it. They're gonna have to line up now because we've already given them something else. All right, what do you want to do? Stand up here, stand down there? Let's go down here.
Line them up down here.
We'll just move the chairs out of the way.
I'm gonna use the restroom first.
Let me stand next to you, you make me look small.
You're dead center. You're dead center. Is this where I'm supposed to be?
Don't do that boyish grin, it's like sweet, cute boyish grin, don't do it, because I'm gonna use mine, okay? That's all right. Same thing with you, don't do that, don't do that boyish grin.
No.
I got that one. Where's the guy?
You want to be in? Come on up here. Come on up. Yeah, right between you two guys.
Yeah, that worked. I know.
is your name? Come on. Yep.
Oh.
Oh, sure. Sounds familiar.
Oh, yeah.
Are we doing hazard mitigation next? Is that
Take
next?
5.
Public
You see
hearing.
that- you see the size of the book?
We got that public hearing.
Gotcha.
Let's do the public hearing.
That won't take long.
Let's just, we can get these done quick. Let's just roll through.
Yeah. Won't take long.
All that beautiful bean footage.
Patrick, come on up. Right there.
He's right there.
Which one?
The one we need. Good to hear.
Jeffrey.
We got a
Roll
quorum.
with it.
We got a quorum. Roll on.
Let's go. Keep it rolling.
Did you want the other Patrick?
No, you got
Hey,
it.
He'll be right back.
Show's yours.
All right, Commissioners, this is item number 4 in your books, pages 7 through 13. This is County Ordinance 2509, Public Facilities Bond Authorization of 2025, public hearing. Mr. Thompson?
This is a public hearing being held by the County Commissioners of Queen Anne's County, June 24th, 2025, at 6 p.m. in the County Commissioners Meeting Room, Liberty Building, 107 North Liberty Street, Centerville, Maryland, to receive public comments regarding proposed county ordinance number 2509, a public local law to authorize and empower Queen Anne's County, Maryland, from time to time to borrow not more than $26 million for the public purpose of financing or refinancing certain public facilities, all is more particularly described in the proposed ordinance, and to evidence such borrowing by the issuance and sale at public or private sale, but its full faith and credit of one or more series of general obligation bonds in like par amount, empowering and directing the county to adopt the resolution in accordance with section 19504D of the local government article of the annotated code of Maryland prior to issuing all or any part of the bonds, empowering and directing the county to levy ad valorem taxes in rate and amount sufficient to provide funds for the payment of the maturing principal of and interest on the bonds, and pledging the county's full faith and credit and unlimited taxing power to the payment thereof, exempting the bonds from the provisions of sections 19205 and 19206 of the annotated code, authorizing issuance of refunding bonds and relating generally to the issuance and sale of such bonds. All persons who wish to comment on the ordinance may do so at this hearing. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Written testimony could be submitted to the Commissioners on before today's date. Copies of the ordinance have been available at the County Commissioner's office prior to the hearing during normal business hour. All hearing sites are accessible to individuals with disabilities, sign language interpreters, and assistive
We should make that.
listening systems all available. I think anyone.
Nobody signed up.
Is there any public comment with request to county ordinance 2509?
Nobody.
Okay. Do we really care if you hold that over for 2 weeks?
I'll just vote on it? You
Yeah.
wanna make a motion?
Yeah, I mean, I'll make a motion to adopt County Ordinance 2509.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Easy.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Well done. All right, Commissioners, while we're still under legislation,
Budget process, right?
while we're still doing legislation, I just wanted to jump back to Ordinance 2510, the Renewable Energy Certainty Act bill that was just introduced by Commissioner Wilson. That was recommended for introduction as an emergency bill, since it is effective July 1st. Now, it has to go to Planning Commission, then back, so it probably won't be back to the commissioners until sometime in August, because they have to, review it at the Planning Commission level and then write recommendations, send those back. We'll schedule a hearing, but I would like to get a motion on that if
I mean, that's the
if we
quickest
could.
it's going to get done.
That's the quickest that we can get it done. Then it'll be effectively.
So you made the motion to just add this emergency legislation, right? I mean, that's all you have to do.
Oh, and to convey it, right?
And convey to Planning Commission.
So, how are we gonna do this? I'll just withdraw my previous motion, we'll just set it up as a new
Yeah,
motion.
yeah.
I'm withdrawing my original motion. So my new motion will be to introduce County Ordinance 2510, have it conveyed to the Planning Commission, and be adopted as emergency legislation.
Perfect.
There you go.
Yes,
Do we need to vote? We don't need to vote.
Do we need a motion on
do?
that? 'Cause
Well,
it's
no,
emergency, or is that
But
just?
no,
a
we do
reduction?
need the motion on the emergency for
Okay,
sure.
second. I'll
All in
second
favor?
that. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Here we go.
Next.
All right.
So once it comes, so Patrick, I don't think we've done emergency since you've been on here. So once that comes back to us, we can vote on it right away, and it goes into effect right away, not 45 days.
Emergency means 2 weeks.
But we also have to have 4 out of 5 have to vote in favor
favor.
of it in order for it to be emergency.
In favor, right.
Right.
That's right.
And you think this is the best we can do?
Well,
That's
they
why it
said
goes
we're
to
supposed to be in
planning
compliance July 1. We're obviously not going to make that, but.
Yeah. It's the quickest we can do.
Right.
At this stage, yeah.
All right.
All right. We're good? Okay. All right, Commissioners, we have one final presentation left under tab 6, and this is Resolution 2506, and this is for the adoption of the hazard mitigation plan. So, again, I'll ask Director Haas to come up with his team and the consultant, and we have a copy of the plan up here on the table in front of everybody. We have a short review of the plan, and then we can consider adoption.
Once every 3 years, what's it?
5.
Every 5, okay.
So it should be fresh on your mind for the last one.
There you go.
Ready to go?
Ready to go? Sure, take it away.
So first, I want to introduce my partner in crime, which is Lori. And Lori is one of our division chiefs. She's in charge of special operations, which encompasses emergency management. And from our side, she was in charge of this project throughout. Another individual within our department I'd like to recognize is Debbie Hopkins, who is our primary planner. And they're shaking their heads because they had a year's contact with Debbie to get this plan in place. Our consultant that we hired to help us implement this plan was the same consultant that did our last plan. And they did a fantastic job last time, and I think they did a fantastic job this time. So Michelle King and Eric Mezek is with us from Smith Planning and Design, and they're the ones that basically put this document together for us. And it incorporates all of Queen Anne's County, so it includes all of the towns within the county, and basically the towns are going to have to do the same adoption that you're doing tonight to make this plan fully go into effect. So we got to do this 9 more times altogether.
Oh, joy.
I do 8.
8.
Don't do
9
9.
times total.
No, okay.
So I'll turn it over to Michelle and Eric. I told them they had less than 10 minutes to give you an overview of a 1,000-page document, which is sitting in front of us. So,
Hey, they passed an entire healthcare act with 2,000 pages in less than 10 minutes.
well, there you go.
So thank you all for giving us the opportunity to introduce the hazard mitigation plan. As Scott had said, this is an update to the 2019 multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. And the importance of this plan is that we look at the vulnerability of assets and people and try to come up with mitigation actions to reduce that and for future hazards. Climate change, everything's increasing. So just to kind of give you some highlights, I wanted to go over of the plan. We had a robust hazard mitigation planning committee this time around. We had over 97 members on the committee, and they were very helpful, and they reviewed the plan, and they helped give us status updates on mitigation actions from the previous plan, and helped develop the new mitigation action items. We also updated the community capability assessment in this. The critical facility database was updated for this, and we incorporated the FEMA's community lifelines. And we also ensured that social vulnerability was integrated throughout the whole chapter and through each hazard chapter. We also wanted to make sure that the public was engaged throughout this process. So the county, the Department of Emergency Services, they developed a hazard mitigation page, and we kept we had a survey that was included on there. The QACTV, they actually did a YouTube video for this mitigation plan. It was posted there. We also did interviews. We had the news media involved. We did public meetings. We also had, like I said, the survey. We included that as a English, and we had Spanish versions of that available. We did hard copy stations as well throughout the county because not everybody has availability to internet. And so we made sure that we tried to get this out as much as possible and make sure that the public was engaged the whole time and knew where we were in the process. So the whole purpose of this plan is to, like I said, look at the vulnerability, assess the risks, what's, with the critical facilities, residential, the people, because you want to minimize the loss of property and lives. And so at the end of the process, we developed 38 new mitigation action items for this. They were prioritized, which is very helpful because once this plan is adopted, which has to be updated and adopted in order to receive FEMA funding. And so when we prioritize, we know what the high priority projects are. When it comes time that they can submit applications, everything's there within these project sheets. They can submit them easily. And then with this also being adopted through the county, you're eligible for that FEMA funding. I know you had the briefing sheet, and if you look at the bottom, it shows you all the FEMA grants that are available. There are other grants out there that can be used throughout this for these mitigation actions. We include that within the plan as well. And this was FEMA approved, and it is also approved by the Maryland Department of Emergency Management. So we are just asking for your blessing now to adopt this.
There you go.
Now, what happens if we don't have a FEMA?
Well, basically, what's in
That's
the
a great
rumor mill?
question.
Get your check
What's in the rumor
Just
mill?
asking the obvious question
Yeah,
based on the
good
news
question.
cycle, right?
So what's in the rumor mill is, and it changes on a daily basis, and now the focus is on the Middle East right now, so there's not a lot of chatter about FEMA. But what was in discussion was kind of dissolving FEMA and turning the funding over to the states and let the states manage the funding
Oh,
themselves.
great.
Yep. So
Warm, fuzzy feeling.
that was the last thing that we were told right before the Middle East thing
Maryland's
started.
great with surplus
and
money.
Been silent ever since. So
Oh, boy.
We really don't know. And I know like the brick funding, that building resilient.
So we did submit a project already based off of this plan. So we've already put ourselves in line for a project in North County based on the approval of this plan and some of the things we found in here. So
doesn't mean we'll get the funding, but
does not.
but they did
But
not
it is-
deny us immediately upon submitting it, so that was a good sign.
That was, right, that grant funding was still open and we were able to get our application in.
I mean, obviously, we all know it can't go away, but what it looks like after this. But my point is, you're submitting this to the feds now. Are you going to have to resubmit if it does all go down to MEMA? Or are you good because MEMA signed off as well?
So MEMA signed off on this plan
Right,
as
so
well.
I'm saying, so we're good regardless.
We can't predict
Right.
what they're going to require, but they did sign off on this as well. They had a
Pretty much done
45-day.
for 5 years.
Gotcha, okay, good.
And as I said, there are other grant programs out there, and we included that. And even in the project sheets, we made sure to not only include the FEMA project or grant funding, we also include other grant sources as well that they can utilize to help accomplish these.
All right, can I get a motion?
Let's see, which one is it? I move to adopt Resolution 25-06 for the 2025 Queen Anne's County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
8 more now.
Thank you.
Commissioners, thank you very much.
Are you really,
Thank you
are
so
you gonna be able to
much.
wrangle Templeville up to get that?
What's that?
Are you gonna be able to wrangle Templeville up to get that? or what?
Templeville actually adopted Caroline counties. So they're
So
taking
what-
care, and Queen Anne is included within
With Talbot counties.
Talbot. So
So you only got 6 to do?
now. Yeah.
Gotcha,
Six
okay.
properties. And they participated in through that.
I was
What
gonna
about
say,
Millington?
they
Did
did
they go
meet
with
with
Ken or
us.
did they go with us? Where's Millington going, with Ken or us?
I think,
Millington does both.
yeah.
They will adopt both plans.
Really?
And actually, in the past, they have been the most aggressive.
Who
town.
supersedes who, though, in the case, are they?
Usually run their grants through us, on our side.
Okay.
Usually.
Most of the development is on Kent's side.
Wastewater
I think, that they-
It is. Yeah, we have very little.
But they have acquired a couple properties on the Queen Anne's County side of Millington that they've written for themselves.
All the sewer plants over here, too.
Yes, exactly.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes. That's massive.
Unless you wanted to read it.
I bet you that's just all blank paper. You just brought that for looks, right? Don't open it.
I told Todd there's a 50-question test that we're supposed to give you at the end of this for us to really be compliant.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you.
See you guys.
All right, Commissioners, we can move on to our action items. We've got 5, I believe. So first, if you want to switch to tab 2, we have one item for the, under the Public Works for the Sanitary Commission. So
Motion
can
to
we
convene
convene
the
as
Sanitary.
Sanitary Commission?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
All right, so item 1, pages 1 through 8, this is for the town of Sudlersville. This is the water and sewer agreement. Unfortunately, we just signed this at the June 10th meeting, but USDA had approved the agreement originally, but upon reflection, they wanted to have the ability to approve and concur with the transfer of all the sewer and water assets, from the town to the county. So it's just a matter of having them in the mix as we go through the transition, as we accept all the assets and the obligations to manage the town's water and sewer systems. So this amendment just basically adds language to satisfy that additional condition.
I move to approve the amended agreement with the town of Sudlerville for the county to take over ownership, operations, and finances of the town's water and sewer assets.
Second.
Finances and operations.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. And I will also mention quickly that we did meet with the town commissioners of Barclay last week, and they signed their intergovernmental agreement, conveying that authority over from Sudlersville to Queen Anne's County Sanitary Commission, County Commissioner. So that's all done moving forward. So, all right, next we have some new business under tab number 3. So if you want to turn to tab number 3, item 1, page 1. First item is Parks and Recreation Month coming up, July. So we're almost in July. So we have a proclamation for our Parks and Recreation folks. We have Director Chanley and Public Landings Managers James Wood.
I'll read Proclamation 25-26. Whereas Parks and Recreation is an integral part of communities throughout this country, including Queen Anne's County. And whereas Parks and Recreation promotes health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people who live near parks. And whereas Parks and Recreation promotes time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health by increasing cognitive performance and well-being, and alleviating illnesses such as depression, attention deficit disorder, and Alzheimer's. Whereas Parks and Recreation encourages physical activity by providing space for popular sports, hiking trails, swimming pools, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. And whereas Parks and Recreation is a leading provider of healthy meals, nutrition services, and education. Whereas Parks and Recreation programming and education activities such as out-of-school time programming, youth sports, environmental education are critical to childhood development. And whereas Parks and Recreations increases a community's economic prosperity through the increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. Whereas Parks and Recreation is fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community, and whereas Parks and Recreation is essential and adaptable infrastructure that makes our communities resilient in the face of natural disasters and climate change. Whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. Whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has dedicated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and whereas Queen Anne's County recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources, now therefore be it resolved by the County Commissioners, Board of County Commissioners, that July is recognized as Parks and Recreation Month in Queen Anne's County.
Bada bing.
Thank you.
All right.
Now comes the money.
And
Commissioner
that's right.
Petrino, all right, that's right.
Wouldn't-
Okay.
Wouldn't be a visit without a request
That's
for
right.
some funding.
And they came in when Phil wasn't here. How
That's
about that?
right.
All right, Commissioners, item 2.
Snap card.
Item 2 in your books is on pages 2 through 7. This is for the Crumpton and Deep Landing bulkhead and ramp replacement bids. So the Public Landings Division opened bids for both projects, and the 3 bids were received, ranging from $909,548,000 to over $1 million, and staff is recommending a conditional award to contract with the low bidder, Bay Coastal Contracting from Berlin, Maryland, for the $909,548. The condition being that the contract is going to require some additional grant funding from DNR, which we're very confident we're going to receive that. And we also need a little more county money, about $75,000, and the county portion can be transferred either from general fund, or we have some funds available in the Ferry Point Restoration Project that could be transferred as well. But we need a little bit more local funds as well, and I know James has been working really hard at getting the additional DNR grant funds. So the lion's share of this project is going to be grant funded, and we're ready to kick this thing off, so.
And I hate to ask this question, because nobody wants to see this move forward more than I do.
Right,
But
right.
did we apply the local contractor percentage to this? Because this is one of the ones, the first time I've seen where one's this close that I think it applies. This and in June is a local contractor, Bay Coastal's from Salisbury. And we do have a purchasing that has a percentage for local contractors. So we need to check that.
He lives here? Because you said Salisbury.
Bay Coastal is Salisbury, I believe.
Right.
They're located in Salisbury, but Disson and June is Stevensville.
So we're supposed to go with local if it's within how much?
They get a percentage.
10%.
It's either 10 or 5, I couldn't remember. off the top of my head.
think it's.
So that's 90 grand.
So this question had come up before on other projects, and because of the amount of the state funding, it would be, the state won't fund that extra local government incentive or wherever we're calling it. And I think you're right, it would be around $45,000 additional dollars to do that. But we couldn't use the state grant money for that.
No, it's our policy, gentlemen. We have to come up with the 45,000. But I got to say, in my 10 years, this is the first time that one's actually fallen into it.
So are they,
Other times, we don't have a precedent using the state money, and that's the only experience I have with that.
But my point is I don't want you guys to get challenged, because anybody that knows the law and knows what it is here.
We have a procurement policy.
We have procurement policy. It's stated, if you get challenged, you're going to lose it.
Right, we had precedent before for a previous project that had the same thing, and we conferred with DNR, and DNR said you have to come up with that additional money if you're going to go with that balance. So we just followed the same protocol and just applied just an equal, fair bid across the board, because, you know, we were only asking for the $75,000
Counselor, what do you
additional
think?
money.
I think we should probably check with Patrick on that to make sure that we're in
check on
compliance.
You're talking about Disson in June? Yeah.
Disson and June was second bidder at $950,800.
Yeah, it's really close. I mean, it's within that margin. Something this size.
No, we already have a policy in place. I mean, we already have a policy in place.
I know, but let's just verify it with Patrick. And verify, if you've got another project you brought up, let's go back and check that one too, if you've got one in your mind.
That one is several years back now.
Yeah, and I don't know that the bids came in that way, but the question came up, and we checked with DNR about that, and I'm working from memory. We have, I believe that was 100% grant-funded project, so.
Oh, well, then I get it. They're not gonna, they won't.
That's
put-
different.
Yeah, that's gonna be different. If it's 100% grant funded by the state, then it doesn't kick in. But if we're putting any money in, we have to apply it.
Crumpton is 100% grant-funded, the
By the state?
component by the state, and then
But we're having to put
the
money in
deep
though.
landing, right, there's 2 projects, deep landings.
I think we gotta roll on it before we go down that
Let's just
rabbit
make
hole.
sure.
Yeah, we can check that. We can check that.
Yeah, if
and
it's
get back.
100% by the state, then no, our procurement
Yeah.
doesn't apply.
Doesn't
But
apply.
as soon as we put $1 in, I think our procurement would then apply. That's just my guess. I'm not a lawyer.
So
That's this guy.
Should we vote subject to the opinion from
Yeah, and I'm fine with that.
Patrick?
We can, or, I mean, I don't think there's any rush because the DNR money, the grant money is not forthcoming until October 1st or thereabouts. We can't
If we
start
did it
right
at the
away.
next meeting, would that cause a problem for you?
Excuse me?
If we voted at the next meeting on it, does that cause a problem, or?
No.
Yeah, we can,
Done.
Let me qualify that. There is a deadline in our bid documents when we need to award that, but I'll check on that.
there's 2 weeks
Well,
in that window.
Chris, do your motion, I'm with you, do the motion, and then make the full motion that if, in fact, they can move forward with this, we'll make the motion. If they can't, the procurement, it has to go to Disson in June anyway, regardless, and we have to come up with the money. So we will make that as part of the motion, and then you've got your marching orders, you just gotta find out which way you're going. But the motion's done.
There is one thing I want to add, and it's on the next motion that points out, for the Crumpton Landing, that's 100% DNR money. So when we bid it out as a package deal. So, and that's why you see, one grand total for 2 separate projects. So, that's where there's going to be,
Then let's
I
just
think, a
table it
little
to the
bit
next
of.
meeting.
little bit of-
You just made it too confusing.
Well, I mean, the second page.
Yeah,
the
we'll table it to
action
next
item
meeting, and
will
then
show-
we'll.
Well, so what
we'll
may
be able
have
do
to
it the
happen
right
though,
way.
in all honesty, and I know this is probably a pain, what may have to happen is you gotta split the contract. I don't know. That's for Patrick to decide.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we don't wanna go down the challenge road.
No, I don't either, believe me.
Yeah.
All right.
Certainly.
Tabled.
Okay.
We're good.
To be continued. All right.
We're not saying no, we're just not saying yes.
Yeah, no,
We only see you at budget time anyway. This way we get to see you at least twice after budget.
That's all right. We want to say yes to
Yeah,
the
but
right
Phil will be at the next
contract.
meeting.
Okay.
Oh, we could thoroughly confuse Phil. Oh, that's.
Just come in and say it's a truck.
Hey, yeah, make sure you're here, Stephen, and make sure, I don't even care if it's a fake one, put a truck in the thing for $500,000 or something.
It'll be his.
A fireboat.
I was gonna say just in his packet, and make sure it's like a fake one, like some kind of fake thing.
Make it a fireboat.
Whatever, something.
All right, budget amendment?
All right, item 3 is budget
Thank you,
amendment CC
gentlemen. Sorry about
14.
that, but.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
Point well taken.
I move to approve budget amendment CC 14 miscellaneous attorney fees.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Done.
Thank you, Commissioner, Counselor. And our desk item number 1 is the Baltimore Metropolitan Council Agreement Contract for FY25 to reallocate existing resources to fund the US 50 pedestrian overpass feasibility study.
I move to execute the agreement with the Baltimore Metropolitan Council for the funding, the FY25 US 50 overpass study.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
Nobody for press and public comment, I don't think, right? Roundtable? Jackie?
I got nothing.
Jack's
Told
got
you.
nothing? Patrick, you got anything?
Juneteenth was wonderful. I guess some of you guys went to that, right? Didn't you go to that? So I'll let you speak on that. Thank you.
Anything?
I'm gonna say for the next meeting, we're gonna talk bridge at the next meeting.
All right.
I've missed that, Jim, I've missed that.
All right,
It used to be like clockwork.
the bridge stuff? Yeah.
And after Sundays, to mess up, figured he was coming in all guns a-blazing after that.
Well, but we have before our next meeting, we have our bragg meeting. So come in with responses. I sent it.
He told me he was backed up into Sudlersville. There were people coming through Sudlersville trying to get home.
I took the back roads from Centerville.
Yeah.
They're
It was only
blocking
backed up to
the
east
exits
on
higher
50.
up, 52.
Well, no, they said 309 was backed up all the way to Star Road, all the way back up almost to 404.
Yeah.
Really?
That's pretty good ways. I just drove it today.
16 miles.
16 and a half miles.
Yeah.
No, he said 309.
Yeah.
Right.
309.
Dang.
Did you?
I've never heard it that backed up.
Yeah.
What was interesting is when I left church and I went over the Route 8 bridge, there was no traffic. By the time I got to like the Safeway, it just started from
Jim
right
has a
there.
switch at his house.
Yeah.
Click.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Chris. we digressed. We went down Jim's rabbit hole, so.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay, it's so moved.
All right.